YouTube's darkest videos, 7. We missed 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Or did we watch 1? Did you send one before? Anyways, let's watch it. Angry Midge, did you send this before?
It's December 4th, 2003.
How long is this? 26? Yo, ma'am, is that your kid?
Try to get them to stop doing that.
A police officer walking in a local park in Arlington, Virginia, is approached by a concerned family, claiming that someone in a nearby neighborhood had been shooting off a flare gun. The officer could hear it too, and following the sound, he eventually found himself at the home of 56-year-old James U. The man lived alone in his half of this duplex, and was described by neighbors as a recluse known to exhibit unusual behavior.
Do they not do background checks on people?
Claiming that he was the victim of fraud at the hands of all sorts of government agencies, as he had a deep distrust of the U.S. government as well as law enforcement, and he believed—
Rightfully so, especially in 2024. You guys gotta be careful. The government ain't here to help you yet, until someone takes office.
That numerous people were attempting to kill him, like his ex-wife, the FBI, and even his neighbors. His posts seemed entirely nonsensical, and so did many of his actions. In the months prior, he had covered up all of his windows with garbage bags and aluminum foil, and he even wrapped his trees in toilet paper.
What?
Though these actions are entirely harmless, on this day, things were becoming far more troubling.
Whoa!
When police arrived at his home, you would be seen firing his flare gun out of his window and into the air, over and over again.
It's just fireworks, guys.
Attempts to get him to stop.
Just fireworks. It's just fireworks.
Police! Stop shooting the flares! Mr. Yu!
He didn't let up.
Wait, a flare gun? It sounds like a gun? Not really a gun, but like
25 minutes. And he did it all with
it definitely doesn't sound like a flare gun
shooting. He
shooting.
didn't even say a single word.
I guess that part is.
Police were eager to get Yu out of his home for questioning, as at this point it wasn't obvious whether or not he was a threat. And so for hours and hours they called out to him, first asking and then demanding that he exit his home.
James, Arlington Police. Come to the front door with your hands up. Do it now. We have your building surrounded.
But still, there was no response. Growing impatient and worried that Yu might be planning something, the police would have—
I remember one time I was sleeping right here. It was like 6 in the morning. I wake up to like literally what do they call those little speaker things that you speak into? That's loud as fuck. Anyways, I'm sleeping and I hear that shit. I'm hearing like, "Come out with your hands up" or some shit. "Come out with your hands up," like multiple times, bro. I'm like, bro, what the fuck is that, bro? I thought the cops were after me, but I'm like, damn, they finna get me, bro. I accidentally scammed someone out of the fucking like $2. They finna get my ass. I get up, walk up to the front window. I'm taking a peek. So I ain't coming outside, bro. Fuck that. And it's a whole fucking army truck, not an army truck, but like it's them big ass trucks, bro, that they be whipping around. And I see some motherfuckers in like police gear, SWAT gear, whatever, with like a whole like AR out inside the truck, bro. Like there's a circle on top of it. He's literally standing out of it on top of the car, just aiming at a fucking door next door. I'm like, bro, what the fuck?
Eventually bring in a
I
specialized
was scared as shit
to bust down
at
the door and
first.
spray the inside of the home with gas.
Literally these cars, bro. But it was a smaller one. It was a shorter one.
To draw you outside.
James, stay away from your front door.
Bro, what the fuck are they doing?
Stay away from your front door, James.
And in response, you began firing once again. Only this time, he wasn't using flares.
I think bro thinks he's in Fortnite IRL.
And instead,
yeah,
he was
megaphone.
now wielding an actual gun.
Damn, he had a gun this
none of
time.
these shots connected, but with the situation becoming increasingly dangerous, the officers decided to fall back, as they carefully came up with a new plan for apprehending Yu. Though whatever they had been planning,
it was like one of those military
would never
vehicles.
come to fruition.
They killed him.
Yeah.
Oh! What the fuck happened? Bro, were the people inside? Oh my gosh, the whole house got destroyed.
Second, the home was gone, as a massive explosion rang out from inside the house, reducing the entire structure to rubble. Inside the house, Yu had stored 55 gallons of gasoline in his basement, which he saved for that moment to ignite with no warning and no explanation.
56
Based on the footage,
gallons?
it's been theorized that Yu's actions were an attempt to lure police into his
Yeah,
home
he did that on
so that he
purpose.
could then set off this explosion and take them all out along with his neighbors. As he genuinely
And they're literally a door next. There's literally an apartment next door.
believed that both parties were conspiring to kill him. Though somehow, when the smoke cleared, no civilians or police officers had so much as been injured. All that was found in
Oh
the
my
rubble
gosh.
was the remnants of a single body. Though for a moment, this wasn't the end of
no
James Yu's story.
way.
Before that body
No
could be
one
identified,
died besides
reports
the
across
dude?
social media began emerging showing
That's
that James
crazy.
Yu was somehow still alive.
No way.
After the blast, comments were being made on what appeared to be Yu's YouTube channel, where he stated that this whole thing was a cover-up and that he wasn't even inside the home when the standoff started, which looking back, we never actually see him, and we also never hear his voice. Numerous posts pointing out this development would go viral and cause mass confusion about the story, which was only heightened when it was revealed that the body inside that building was in fact James Yu. Though in the end, it wasn't really as mysterious as some originally thought. As it turns out, the post showing these comments failed to realize that this wasn't actually Yu's account, and instead it had a completely different username, with the account likely having been created as nothing more than a hoax. To this day,
you can
though,
see
there
when
are some that
accounts
still
were
believe that
created.
this was all some sort of massive cover-up. But in reality, it just seems that this was the result of a man gripped by crippling paranoia and loneliness, with it all coming to a head in what has gone on to
Probably.
become one of YouTube's darkest videos.
That is crazy. You're telling me there's more that's gonna top that? That's actually insane. I did not expect that house to blow up like that.
The internet is a dark and disturbing frontier. This year alone, countless people have fallen victim to high-profile data breaches, raising serious concern about personal information security. Ticketmaster experienced a breach compromising over 560 million of their customer records. But most alarming of all, the National Public Data announced that they too had suffered a breach, where a staggering 2.9 billion records.
Yeah, buddy. Fuck out of here. Motherfucking nuked his house. Brother, this is in COD. That's a
There was really
kid.
nothing else like it.
That's cool.
This obscure 27,000 square foot structure allowed visitors to enter into what must have felt like another dimension. It was an
What?
exhibit called Dream Space, and was the creation of British artist Maurice Agus, a 74-year-old artistic
Oh, hell no.
visionary
Check his hard drives.
obsessed with the idea of creating large-scale surreal environments.
Oh, that's
And this
cool
was
though,
his
actually.
magnum opus. The structure was inflatable, akin to a massive bounce house, and once inside, guests were confronted with a labyrinth of brightly colored walls and cells, twisting and turning into some sort of surreal maze
That's dope.
that patrons were told to lose themselves in. This piece of art premiered back in 2004, and due to its inflatability, it was actually built to travel, making stops in major cities in the UK, before it was eventually set up at Riverside Park in
No
Durham
way
on
someone
the
popped
22nd
it.
of June, 2006. The very next day, 68-year-old Elizabeth Collins would visit
Imagine
the area
playing
with her
hide and
husband
seek in
and
there.
daughter, as well as her 14-year-old
Well,
grandson.
you can't really do much in
Spotting
there.
this unusual structure in the distance, Elizabeth's
That is
grandson
kinda crazy,
insisted
though.
on checking it out, excitedly taking off
already
his
know where to
shoes
hide,
and
though.
running inside. And while the rest of the group was more apprehensive about entering, Elizabeth eventually decided to accompany him, leaving her husband and daughter on the outside, though not before turning back to them and joking that she was going in to find peace and serenity. Outside, Elizabeth's husband and daughter sat at a nearby table and enjoyed a cup of tea whilst conversing about the events of the week, only for the man to turn his head and notice that Dream Space was slightly moving, to which he excitedly said, "Oh,
No.
it's a ride, it's a ride. I wish I had gone on it." The daughter then turned her head to see the structure as it began to rise up off the ground, to which she chillingly responded, "It's not a ride."
Damn. Gust of wind took that bit. Isn't that thing like not like tied down to the ground? Oh my gosh, bro. Oh, that's creepy. Oh yeah, she's cooked in there. No, it literally got up and walked away. Oh damn, they're running.
In that moment, Dreamspace had snapped from its moorings and was blown into the air by a massive gust of wind.
Yo.
Agus just so happened to be standing at the entrance as it began to shift, and noticing what was happening, he grabbed on as he desperately tried to hold down his entire life's work.
Bro, you're
Though
not
clearly
able to
this
do
was of
that.
no use. And after being lifted in the air, his grip failed, sending him falling back to the ground below, where he lay staring up at his creation that was now flying 30 feet above him.
Damn. Honestly, is what I thought about. Like, what if you're inside there and it hits the ground? Like, I feel like you have to predict when it's gonna hit the ground and jump up before it does. Because if it hits the ground while you're standing there on the floor, like while you're standing, you're fucking chopped. You're gonna get your shit crushed in. So I feel like if you jump up right when it hits the ground, you'll land. I don't know, to be honest. I don't know how gravity works inside these things. That's crazy. Imagine if it fell on you. Like you're outside and it fell on top of you. Gonna suffocate. I mean, and I'm even scared.
Inside,
like
there
bounce
was only a
houses when it
30
gets
feet
deflated and it starts going down. I get scared as fuck. But imagine this shit.
People who were now being thrashed around this giant inflatable structure in a scene that I truly can't even imagine. The claustrophobia of it, the dizzying colors, the screams. It's genuinely one of the most horrific scenarios I've ever heard. The inflatable structure was airborne for well over a minute, folding into itself before finally crashing back down into a parking lot, leaving behind what was described by witnesses as a field of bodies. Worst of all, the majority of those in attendance were families with small children, with one 7-year-old girl recounting her experience, saying, "It was very scary and people were screaming. I saw a lady clinging on and then falling out, and then she was lying on her back with people around her. I think she died."
Damn.
This lady was most likely 68-year-old Elizabeth Collings, who had been ejected from the structure when it was in the air, with her injuries being catastrophic and unsurvivable.
And it's like, what do you
Of all
grab
the others
onto?
now
There's
sprawled
nothing to
throughout
grab
the field of
onto.
grass. Most were left injured, but thankfully not in serious condition, though this wasn't the case for 38-year-old Claire Vermege, who had been inside during the accident with her 2 children. And despite her kids surviving, she was sadly not so lucky.
Damn.
With Claire and Elizabeth being the sole fatalities of the incident.
I'm pressing charges, man.
The video is terrifying, and though it's easy to say that this could have been so much worse, considering how many people were in Dreamspace at the time, the consequences were still catastrophic, as it devastated 2 families, and likely left many others at the scene traumatized for life, especially the young children.
What?
But how could
Imagine.
this have happened?
I would
Well, that
never
day
get in
was
a bounce house
particularly
ever
warm,
again.
which likely caused the air inside the structure to expand, causing a hot air balloon-like effect, which was then exacerbated by sudden strong gusts of
True.
wind, which eventually caused the structure to go airborne, as in the end, it just wasn't properly secured for the conditions. Soon after the incident, Maurice Agus was arrested for manslaughter, though he would ultimately only end up paying a small fine, as he vowed to never create a large work again. Just a few years later,
That wasn't
in
his
2009,
fault.
Maurice Agus would pass away, with his legacy forever being defined by this devastating footage.
It wasn't his fault, man. I mean, at the same time, it should have been harnessed down more.
Happy birthday to you.
But damn,
Happy birthday
it's tragic.
to you. Happy
It's one of those things where it's like out of your
birthday,
control. The tragic occurrence.
On October 2nd, 2006, police entered the home of 31-year-old Elaine Campione, where inside they found the woman speaking incoherently. Next to her was a VHS camera, depicting a series of disturbing events that had transpired within the home over the previous months and days, with the footage eventually finding its way onto YouTube.
Hi, Serena. It's August 8th, 2006. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
The tape starts with Elaine pointing her new camera at her daughter Serena. It was her 3rd birthday, and to celebrate, Elaine had left a brand new bike in the living room.
Aww.
What is it?
Days later, the footage continues, showing Serena once again as Elaine asks,
How does Mama love you?
This much.
Oh, I love you more than that. How much does Mama love you?
Elaine then shows her other daughter
I don't
Sophia,
even know what
who was just a
happens,
baby,
bro.
before
This is
turning the
sad.
camera on herself and showing the kids how the device worked.
Hi. See how the camcorder works? Look.
Yeah, it's a farmer.
Look. Hi. Is that Mommy? Hi.
So far, the footage seems like nothing more than
I
your
don't wanna
standard
know what
family home
happens, man.
videotape,
It's already
and appears
sad.
completely wholesome. Though with the next recording, the tone begins to shift,
Oh,
and
shit.
things start to become slightly concerning.
Did she cut her hair?
This is a deplorable, horrible, messy, filthy apartment that supposedly my 2 children and I live in, and it's just a horrible, horrible mess. 2 children and I live in filthy apartment that supposedly my
Supposedly? Oh yeah, she's out of it.
2 children and I live in, and it's just a horrible, horrible mess. Yeah. I think Diego Campione is totally in the wrong, and I hope he burns in hell for all his sins, the same as Leonardo.
As Elaine shows the camera
What?
her home, she begins joking about how they are living in deplorable conditions, before randomly calling out 2 men who she says she hopes burn in hell, all while her children are in the same room.
Oh
She starts to
no,
grow
what
more and
happened?
more
What is she
agitated.
on?
All I wanted to do was take care of my 2 little girls and live happily ever after the 3 years of physical, emotional, and mental abuse that I endured tremendously by Leonardo Campione, and then the past year from Anna and Diego Campione, the mental and emotional abuse.
Outright saying that she was abused by a man named Leonard Campione, who happened to be her ex-husband and the father of these children. And she goes on from there.
I mean, looking
with
at
each
him,
moment clearly making
looks
the
like,
kids
you know.
more and more anxious.
And I want justice to my family for what they have all done to us.
Looking at that dude, he
Right,
kind of
okay,
looks like a weirdo, yeah.
They should have charged him for the assaults he did to me.
Eventually causing Elaine to snap out of it and stop the camera.
And my poor 3-year-old, I did everything to protect. And what are you saying, Sophia? What do you want?
The video then skips forward once more, with this footage being taken just days before the police were called, showing Serena coloring on the floor as Elaine asks,
Who loves ya?
Mommy.
Who loves you the most? That much? Oh, I think I love you more than that.
The scene that unfolds next was recorded on that very same night, just hours later.
Oh no.
Recording this because Leo there. Are you happy? Everything's gone. You wouldn't give peace. You wouldn't tell the truth. You didn't care about our babies. You didn't care about me. You care about yourself. All you did was hurt us.
Bro, what is
In the
happening?
video, Elaine states that everything is gone, as she speaks to Leo directly, accusing him of having ruined their lives with his constant abuse.
You are truly the devil. And I hate you. 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 And I want you to know how much I hate you.
Disturbingly, the children were nowhere to be seen in this footage, with Elaine eventually addressing them by saying,
God believes me. And God's taking care of them now. They're protected by God. Thank God.
Oh
Thank
no, what the
Because there's no
fuck,
way I
man?
could have them with you. Nothing's good enough for you. It has to always be your way. Well, they're good. And you can have it your way. Your way.
I don't believe in I don't believe that it's her fault, but women should not have kids when their mental health is cooked. And this is a sign of her not being mentally stable right now. She probably did something to her kids, which no normal sane person would do to their kids. The way she's speaking right now, yeah, I mean, well, she just said it right here. Your wife and your daughters are dead now. Okay.
And your daughters are dead now. We're all in heaven.
According to Elaine, not only were her children gone, but she was too, as she stops the recording soon after. Despite saying this, the camera would actually start up one more time, where Elaine describes how she was still alive, despite having attempted to OD, which prompted her to call the police. When officers
she
arrived
killed
at
her
their home,
kids, not
both
her.
Serena and Sophia were found laying in her mother's bed, holding hands and wrapped tightly in rosaries.
Fucking
Neither of
coward,
them were
bro.
alive.
Fucking coward, bro. You're gonna take your 2 kids' lives away, but not your own, bitch.
2 nights prior, and directly before filming this message, Elaine had
Man, be careful who you have kids with. I know it's not her fault, but I mean, there has to be. You don't just not automatically, but like over time, over just abuse and this and that, do this to your kids, bro. You
brought
don't
them
do
both
this to your
into the
kids.
bathroom, as it was time for their
She is
nightly
mentally
baths.
unstable
And once in the tub, she
before
told them
everything,
to play
bro.
a game, one where they would place their heads beneath the water and blow out bubbles. When they did this, Elaine held their heads down, and she didn't let go until she was certain they were gone.
Bro, come on, man.
This footage is some of the most disturbing that I've ever seen, as we get a glimpse into Elaine's descent into madness in the moments directly before she stole her children's lives.
You don't do this to
But all of
kids,
this
bro. You don't do
leaves
this to
one
your own
obvious
kids.
question: why? Well, it was noted during her investigation that the abuse she alleged from her ex-husband Leo seemed to be very real and well documented over the years, leading to Leo not being able to see his children for over a year, with this causing the two to separate, which is when Elaine's mind began to deteriorate.
You still don't do this to your kids.
She began believing that people were following her and were going to kill her, with this fear of people eventually shifting to a fear of aliens, as she claimed to have seen them on numerous occasions, believing they were following her. Because of this fear, she refused to let her children out of her
So this
sight,
happened
not
because of
even
abuse from her husband? No, bro. This is before her husband.
her own parents to
It
look
probably
after
wasn't
her,
as
causing her
bad
to
as it
become
is
so
as
attached
it
to these
got,
children
but
that she
this is
genuinely
before,
began to
man.
believe
There's
that
no
they were
way.
all one entity.
You don't do this
which
to your
made things
kid.
incredibly concerning when she became suicidal,
Unless you're
and eventually
unstable
attempted
mentally.
to take her own life. Despite Leo's more than troubled history, he had supposedly turned his life around in the years leading to this footage, and was eventually allowed to start visiting the children on a limited capacity.
Come on,
And seeing
man.
the children and seeing the way their mother was behaving, he began to grow incredibly concerned, and eventually attempted to gain full custody. And it was this bitter custody battle that seemed to be the ultimate factor that led to Elaine ending the lives of her children.
God's taking care of them.
So it wasn't even him. He was
Protected by
bettering
God.
himself.
Thank God. Thank him.
He was trying to take him away from her mental health. That's crazy.
With you.
Yeah,
The
you're not
Lane
going to
family
heaven,
would be
bro.
charged with 2 counts of murder and would eventually be sentenced to life in prison, with a possibility of parole after 25
You're not
years.
going nowhere near
Today,
heaven,
she's
bro.
held in a minimum security prison, where she's free to leave once every weekend to attend church and other functions.
That's so fucking crazy. She is sick, yes, bro. She's fucked in the head. That's not like. You can blame the husband for that, but it's not his fault. No matter how much mental
On
shit you
April
go through, you don't
18th,
kill your
2010,
kids.
A 39-year-old man named Gavin Collins was released from the HMP.R.I.B.E.
And plus, he
prison
said
in
that
the
he was
UK.
bettering
His freedom
himself,
lasted
and he was
less
just trying to
than
take them away from
24
her because he
hours, as the
noticed
very
how
next
bad it
day,
was.
He suffered a severe mental
Sure,
breakdown,
mental health was.
the result of which was captured partially across several video recordings that later appeared on YouTube. This is the story
Ew.
of his rampage.
Why does he look like that?
It began at approximately 9 a.m. in the city of Nottinghamshire when Gavin left his home. As he walked down the sidewalk, those in the area reported him acting strangely, muttering to himself that he was Jesus and that he was invincible. Without warning, he then turned his attention
What
to
the
a
flip?
random home, which he forcefully entered, stole a man's car keys, and took his vehicle, taking off with no apparent destination. Inside the car, the owner just so happened to have 2 cameras, one being a standard dash cam and the other facing inside the vehicle, giving us a look at Gavin
Oh, hell
and his
no.
apparent mental state.
You can always see the eyes, man.
This is me. Jesus Christ.
Yo, he's speeding.
Christ, I've got. Hey, don't need this.
Oh my gosh.
Come on, let's go, bro. So, get rid of all that crap pairs. Let's go. Let's go.
Just at a glance, it's obvious that
What?
Gavin is completely unhinged. For some reason, he was utterly filled with rage,
Look at those
ripping off the rearview
eyes.
mirror and yelling obscenities and incomprehensible threats at no one in particular.
I'm enraged. I'm Jesus. I'm descendant of God. And you love me up. Watch this. You
Yo, honestly, bro, just shoot
And most
yourself.
concerning of all is the speed in which he's traveling, as he starts driving faster and faster,
What?
swerving in and out of cars as
Bro.
he passes through busy residential
There's
areas.
no shot.
As he reaches
How has he
speeds
not
that have
crashed
been
yet?
estimated to be anywhere from 85 miles an hour to well over 120.
watch this now. I'm getting stronger and stronger.
Bro thinks he's Super Saiyan. You're not going Super Saiyan, buddy.
Somehow, despite
Oh, Lord.
countless close calls, every time he avoids collision, at least for the time being.
Dude. Oh. Oh.
In an instant, Gavin smashes the vehicle into a brick home at full speed.
A brick
with the
house. Are
impact
you kidding
being
me?
Devastating. And yet somehow, through the destruction, Gavin was not only still alive, but completely unharmed, and also completely unfazed. He pulled himself from the wreckage and immediately turned his attention to a woman driving nearby.
Yo.
And within moments, he had forced his way into the vehicle and
What?
was behind the wheel once again, continuing this deranged driving
No.
spree until once again he crashed. And much like the initial collision, he survived, walking away unscathed before turning his attention to another random home.
How many people died?
In pursuit of stealing his
No
third
one?
vehicle, he grabbed a nearby concrete slab and began to smash through the home's doors, bloodying his hand in the process, before eventually making entry. Inside were a mother and her 2 children, one of which was 5 years old.
Why is
and
it
the
always a
other
mother
wasn't
and a
even
child?
here. Gavin approached the terrified family, yelling and demanding that the mother give up her car keys, telling her that he was Jesus and that, because I am Jesus, I will kill you if you don't give me the keys. And without hesitation, she did as he said. Gavin then went to each member of the family, and with his injured hand, he drew crosses on their forehead, out of his own blood, before taking off with his third stolen car.
What the fuck? Bro,
Once
they
again,
need to
Gavin
just
was
shoot
driving
him.
manically, though this time he was even more reckless, crashing into a brick wall and then a cop car. Before setting his sights,
Bro, this
on
is playing
a pedestrian.
go-kart. This is not go-kart,
While
bro.
speeding through a neighborhood, Gavin would see a man standing innocently near a
Bro.
bus stop, and for whatever reason, the sight of this man enraged him, causing Gavin to slam on the brakes and reverse the vehicle, stepping on the gas as hard as he could, and crashing directly into him, leaving him lying there with devastating injuries.
Bro, this
Gavin quickly exited the vehicle and found the man
all you need is a gun.
lying motionless on the ground, prompting him to shout, "I've killed him. I've killed the devil." Minutes later, Gavin would crash yet another car into yet another home, though this time the police weren't far behind.
Why is it always recording? Oh, that's a cop recording. Takes his ass.
This way.
Damn.
Finally bringing his disturbed driving spree to an end.
Curb
The
stomp
man
his
that Gavin had
ass.
struck was 87-year-old Terry Radford, a
Oh,
retired
man,
teacher
he's
whose
dead.
injuries were catastrophic, with the man passing away soon after.
Yeah, for
According
sure.
to his family, Terry was an incredible grandfather,
At that age,
father,
bro.
and son.
You ain't surviving that.
The footage is genuinely horrifying, but what's most shocking of all is the fact that any of this was even allowed to happen. As stated previously, this was Gavin's very first day out of prison, and based on the behavior he exhibited whilst in prison, he really should have never been released.
Exactly, that's
Gavin
crazy.
was granted an early release in March of 2019
what?
for charges based around burglary, but just as he was set to be freed, it was discovered that he had submitted an adulterated drug test, which caused his case to be re-examined
That's
and resulted
crazy.
in his release being postponed. In response, Gavin lost his mind. Later that month, he assaulted a prison guard before spraying him with an unknown liquid that contained bleach, before proceeding to set his cell on fire and attacking another officer with a piece of wood. Due to his actions, Gavin was placed into an isolated cell.
How did he get all
Less
this?
than a week later, he started yet another fire, and when an officer entered his cell to put it out, Gavin struck them in the head and pulled out a plastic knife, threatening to slash him, stating that it would be a thrill to kill him. Gavin's
And
stay
they
in
let him
prison
out.
clearly hadn't rehabilitated him. In fact, it seemed to have made him more violent than ever before, and more mentally disturbed. Though shockingly, despite all of these additional crimes, Colin's release would go on to be approved less than 2 weeks later.
Oh
with
my
Gavin being set free on
gosh.
April
Are you
18th,
fucking
and within
kidding
just
me?
24 hours, Terry Radford would be brutally killed.
Rightfully so.
Gavin was sentenced to 21 years in prison, and during his trial, it was revealed that no drugs were found in his system. And instead, this all seemed to be the result
Wait.
of some sort of revealed that killed. April 8th. Colin's release and more mentally
Did
disturbed.
he die?
Though shockingly, despite all of these additional crimes, Colin's release would go on to be approved less than 2 weeks later, with Gavin being set free on April 18th. And within just 24 hours, Terry Radford would be brutally killed. Gavin was sentenced to 21 years in prison, and during his trial, it
Who the
was
fuck is Terry? Wait, who, are we talking about the same guy?
revealed that no drugs were found in his system. And instead, this all seemed to be the result of some sort of psychotic episode that just so happened to be captured on camera in one of YouTube's darkest videos.
They need to investigate his fucking brain. That's wild, man. How does shit like that even happen? They let him go. They let him go twice, knowing he has this stupid fucking mental disorder. That's crazy. Who killed him?